Origin. Let's rewind all the way back to the East Blue, specifically Syrup Village. Picture a quiet coastal town where the biggest drama is probably when someone drops a basket of oranges. In this peaceful place lived Kaya, a kind and soft-spoken young lady. She had a butler named Mary. Yes, the Mary. And this man wasn't just a loyal servant. He was also a skilled shipwright with a flair for elegance. Mary designed and built a ship for Kaya as a luxury yacht. And this wasn't some generic boat. No, this thing was dripping with personality. The figurehead was a sheep, smiling with that, "I'm here to make your day better" kind of energy. Why a sheep? Well, it perfectly matched Kaya's gentle personality and the calm life of Syrup Village. This ship wasn't meant for cannon fights or high-speed chases. It was compact, cozy, and built for leisure. Think more Sunday picnic than pirate raid. But fate has a funny way of turning a pleasure yacht into a pirate crew's first home.
Just a second. Thank you to everyone who's been with us since day one. And now, welcome to the Grand Line. Besides the epic ninja world of Naruto, we're also diving into the wild, fun, and emotional adventures of Luffy and his crew. We'll laugh, cry, and go all out together on this journey. So, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join the crew. Who knows? Maybe you're the missing piece we need to reach the One Piece. Next, let's get back to
Become Straw Hat's crew. The Straw Hats stopped Kuro's plan, saved Kaya's life, and left a trail of unconscious pirates behind. Grateful for their courage, Kaya decided to give them a gift. And not just any gift. She handed them the Going Merry. For her, it was a gesture of trust. For Usopp, it was a push toward the sea he always dreamed of sailing. It was an emotional milestone. This was the crew's very first dedicated vessel, their true base of operations. It marked the start of their journey beyond small fishing boats and borrowed rides. The Going Merry became the symbol of their humble beginnings, a reminder that even legends start small. From that moment, the Straw Hats had more than just a way to travel. They had a home. And it all began with a butler's craftsmanship, a lady's kindness, and one very happy-looking sheep. Sheep theme. The Going Merry is a medium-sized caravel, compact, graceful, and built with a wooden hull that's strong yet inviting. Her design is wrapped in white, wool-like accents, giving her this soft, friendly vibe that makes you want to step aboard. But the real star? The sheep figurehead at the bow. This isn't some lifeless carving. The sheep's face changes with the moment, sometimes cheerful, sometimes shocked, sometimes even sad. It feels like the ship has a soul, quietly sharing in the crew's highs and lows. In the early East Blue adventures, when the Straw Hats were still fresh-faced dreamers, this design reflected their light-hearted camaraderie. Both the crew and the ship were innocent in their own way, diving into the pirate life with wide-eyed energy. Sails and masts. Mary carries 2 masts. The main mast bears a square sail with the Straw Hat Jolly Roger front and center, a skull rocking Luffy's signature straw hat. Behind it, a smaller mast holds a triangular sail with bold red and white stripes. Together, they give the ship speed and stability, as long as Nami's navigating. Without her, let's be real, they'd probably drift into some random whirlpool. These sails have seen everything, from the scorching sun and sandstorms of Arabasta to the high winds and cloud seas of Skypiea. Each rip, patch, and fade in color is proof of the miles they've crossed and the storms they've outlasted. Weaponry. On paper, the Going Merry is armed with 4 cannons, one at the bow, one at the stern, and one on each side. Sounds like a pirate's dream, but the Straw Hats rarely needed them. When you've got Luffy launching himself like a human cannonball and Zoro slicing through enemies like a blender on steroids, traditional artillery feels optional. Meeting room, lounge, and helm. At the stern of the Going Merry sits the heart of the ship, the cabin that works double duty as a meeting room and lounge. This is where the Straw Hats plan their moves, eat together, and occasionally argue over the last piece of meat. The helm here is shaped like a sheep's head, tying back to the ship's theme and quietly reinforcing the idea that Luffy is the shepherd guiding this flock of chaos. Some of the crew's most important moments happened here, like strategy meetings before the Arabasta showdown or those legendary feasts after a big win. The room isn't just a place for navigation. It's where the Straw Hats' unity is built plate by plate, laugh by laugh. Men's room. Below deck, The men's quarters look exactly how you'd expect for a group of pirates with zero concept of tidiness. 5 hammocks are squeezed in for Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, Sanji, and Chopper. There's also an emergency hatch in case things go south, which, knowing this crew, happens often. Usopp's tinkering tools are scattered everywhere, sharing space with Chopper's medical supplies. It's the perfect example of chaotic functionality. Somehow, no one loses their stuff, though Sanji has probably threatened to clean house more than once. Women's room. In contrast, the women's quarters are like stepping into another world. Nami and Robin keep the space refined and private, complete with a locked door, because boundaries matter when you live with Luffy. During the Arabasta arc, Vivi stayed here too, bringing a royal touch to the room. The decor reflects Nami's love for comfort and Robin's quiet, bookish personality. It's the one place on the Mary where peace is almost guaranteed. Bathroom. The bathroom is practical but essential. Shower, bathtub, sink, and toilet, all hooked up to a water pump, which Luffy managed to break at some point. Despite its simplicity, it has its moments. When Robin was frozen by Aokiji, the bathroom became the emergency recovery room where the crew thawed her out. Not glamorous, but proof that every corner of the Mary has played a part in the story. Storage and cannon decks. At the rear of the ship is the storage area, crammed with food supplies, treasure, and fresh water. Up front, the forward deck houses the anchor and the bow cannon, ready for when they actually decide to use it. These spaces serve a dual role, keeping the crew alive day to day and giving them an edge when combat does break out. Nami's Mikan trees. 3 Mikan trees, carefully transplanted from Belmare's grove, were placed on the ship's upper deck. These small but vibrant trees, bearing satsumas, citrus unshu, often translated as tangerines or oranges. For Nami, they were living memories of Belmare, symbols of her late mother's love and the home she left behind. Beyond their sentimental value, the Mikans provided the crew with fresh vitamin C to ward off scurvy, and their bright color and sweet scent brought a bit of beauty to life at sea. After the tense clash between Luffy and Usopp in Water 7, they were moved into the crew's hotel room for safekeeping. When Aqua Laguna threatened the city, it was thanks to the quick thinking of the galley law shipwrights that the Mikan trees were recovered and relocated to a safer spot, preserving not just plants, but a cherished piece of the crew's shared history. Luffy's favorite seat. The figurehead of the Going Merry is a sheep. This is where Luffy likes to sit most of the time while sailing. Why he likes to sit there considering his inability to swim is a complete mystery. When the figurehead was temporarily broken upon impact with Laboon, Luffy expressed how mad he was and attacked the whale. The figurehead is also found on top of the ship's steering pole in the main room. This design is also used for the figurehead of the Mini Mary too. Flying mode. If you thought the Going Merry was just a seafaring ship, the Sky Paye arc was here to say, think again. For one glorious stretch of episodes, our humble caravel transformed into something straight out of a kid's imagination. A flying ship. To reach Skypiea, the crew had to ride the knock-up stream, an insanely powerful vertical current that launches anything in its path straight into the clouds. Sounds fun, right? It's also the nautical equivalent of strapping a rocket to a rowboat. So, to give the Mary even a fighting chance, the salvage brothers Masira and Shoju rolled up their sleeves and got to work. They attached massive wooden wings to the sides of the ship, not for actual flight control, but for stability and style points. Then, they added a decorative rooster tail at the stern, making the Mary look like a cross between a pirate vessel and a carnival float. On top of that, they reinforced the bow with extra plating so it could survive slamming into the roaring current without snapping in half. The result? The Going Merry became the Flying Mary. With the crew working together, Nami navigating, Sanji and Zoro keeping things steady, and Luffy probably screaming in excitement, they launched straight into the sky. That moment perfectly captured what makes the Straw Hats special: creativity, resourcefulness, and just enough recklessness to make it work. Once the Skypiea adventure was over, those flashy modifications came off, and the Mary returned to her original form. But that temporary transformation said a lot about her adaptability. Even though she wasn't designed for this kind of madness, with a little teamwork and some questionable engineering, the Mary could rise, literally, to any challenge. Major damages. From the moment the Going Merry set sail with the Straw Hats, she faced challenges that no peaceful luxury yacht was ever meant to endure. And those challenges left their marks, sometimes small scratches, sometimes wounds that could have sunk her for good. It all started at Reverse Mountain, where the crew had their first welcome to the Grand Line moment, slamming headfirst into Laboon, a whale the size of a small island. The Mary's hull cracked under the impact, forcing the crew to patch it with metal plates. That repair kept her afloat, but it was the first sign that life with the Straw Hats was going to be rough. Even before that, in the Barati arc, the Mary had been through some questionable handling. Remember when Nami took the ship and sailed off on her own? Not exactly gentle treatment. She brought it back, but between storms, rushed docking, and the occasional scuffle on deck, little bits of wear started adding up. Then came Sky Paya, the arc where the Mary was basically put through a stunt reel. First, she took the brutal climb up the knock upstream, then endured hard landings and falls from terrifying heights in Upper Yard. Usopp, along with anyone he could rope into helping, worked tirelessly to patch up cracks, reinforce beams, and hammer loose planks back into place. The ship survived, but the punishment was piling up. By the time they reached Water 7, the damage had gone far beyond splintered wood and patched sails. Iceberg, a master shipwright, delivered the devastating news. The keel, the very backbone of the Mary, was broken. That's not something you fix with a few nails and some determination. It meant the ship's days were numbered. But the Straw Hats weren't ready to accept that. Usopp especially refused to let the Mary go. Armed with makeshift tools, he kept working, patching, and reinforcing every inch he could. Luffy couldn't bear the thought of replacing her, and the whole crew pitched in wherever they could. Each repair was more than maintenance. It was an act of love, proof of the bond between the Straw Hats and their first real home. The Going Merry wasn't built for this life, but she kept pushing forward, held together as much by nails and planks as by the devotion of her crew. And in a way, every scar she carried was a story they had lived together. Klabautermann. In this world of seafaring legends, there's a tale about the Klabautermann, a mythical spirit said to dwell within ships, watching over them and repairing them when the crew shows love and care. For the Straw Hats, this legend came to life in one of the most magical and emotional moments aboard the Going Merry. During the Sky Paya adventure, after the Mary took devastating damage from a fall in Upper Yard, Usopp woke one night to the sound of hammering. There, in the moonlight, he saw a small figure quietly repairing the ship. Delicate hands mending the wood, soft taps of a hammer echoing across the deck. This wasn't just a hallucination. This was the Klabautermann of the Going Merry herself. For Usopp, who had always treated the Mary as more than just planks and sails, the sight was overwhelming. It was living proof that the ship had a heart, that all the crew's love, repairs, and shared adventures had given her a soul. The Mary wasn't just carrying them across the seas. She was fighting alongside them. This moment became a quiet but powerful turning point. The Klabautermann's appearance foreshadowed the Mary's eventual fate. It was as if she was telling Usopp, "I'm still here. I'll keep going for you. But my time is running out." From that night on, the Mary was no longer just a vessel. She was a crewmate, a friend, and a silent guardian. Viking Funeral. The end of the Going Merry's journey came during one of the most emotional moments in One Piece. After sustaining fatal damage, the Mary stunned everyone by appearing in Enies lobby, battered but determined, to save the crew one last time. Her broken hull somehow carried them through fire, water, and chaos, an act of pure loyalty. On a quiet, moonlit shore, the Straw Hats gave their first ship the only farewell worthy of her, a Viking funeral. They placed her gently in the water, set her ablaze, and watched as the flames carried her into the night. The scene was devastating. Luffy, always so strong, couldn't hold back his tears. Usopp, who had fought hardest to keep the Mary alive, finally broke down, accepting that she had done everything she could. Nami, Zoro, Sanji, all of them stood in silence, their expressions reflecting not just grief, but gratitude. And then came the voice. The Mary spoke, not in grand speeches, but in the gentle, heartfelt tone of the Klabautermann. She thanked them for letting her sail with them, for caring for her, for giving her a family. "I'm sorry I couldn't take you further, but I was happy." Those words shattered whatever resolve the crew had left to stay composed. It wasn't just the burning of a ship, it was the passing of a crewmate, the end of an era. But it was also a moment of growth. By letting the Mary go, the Straw Hats were making space for the future, the Thousand Sunny, and all the adventures yet to come. The Mary's final act was not just rescue, but a reminder that every journey has an end, but the bonds formed along the way never truly fade. Roles and legacy. The Going Mary was far more than a ship. It was the Straw Hats' first real home. From their earliest days in the East Blue to the turbulent waters of Water 7, she carried them through storms, battles, and countless moments of laughter. Her deck was where alliances were forged, victories celebrated, and wounds healed. In those formative adventures, the Mary wasn't just a means of travel. She was a steadfast companion who shared in every danger and triumph. Her legacy in One Piece remains one of the most enduring in the series. To fans, the Mary embodies the spirit of humble beginnings, proof that you don't need the grandest vessel to chase the biggest dreams. She represents loyalty, the willingness to push forward even when the odds are impossible, and sacrifice, as shown in her final rescue. This emotional weight has cemented her place in fan culture, inspiring model ships, tribute art, and endless heartfelt discussions about that scene in Enies Lobby. Eiichiro Oda gave her more than just a role in the story. He gave her a soul. Drawing inspiration from real-world caravels, he blended nautical history with emotional storytelling, turning a small, sheep-headed ship into an icon. The Going Mary's journey reminds us that in One Piece, even the simplest vessel can leave an unforgettable wake in the hearts of those who sail with her, and those who watch her sail away. Thank you for watching, and see ya in the next video.